Last night I sat down and I started playing Anno 1800. And what's special about this is that there was this moment when time kind of is something I forgot about. And minutes turned into hours. And I found myself enjoying the experience. Truth is, I wasn't even really thinking about enjoying the experience because I kind of forgot that I was having an experience. I was just going about my business, doing things, making supply routes, building buildings, moving my ships around. And it occurred to me that that's really a great example of finding a flow and enjoying what you're doing in the moment. Like, I didn't have to convince myself of why I was having a good time. I didn't have to remind myself that I made some sort of a commitment to finish my backlog of games. All I really did was start playing and lost track of time. So it kind of made me think about how I've talked about having a backlog of games in Steam and wanting to get through those games and thinking about trying to cut out distractions and things that kind of prevent me from being able to do that. But then what occurred to me is it's not really about finishing the backlog. What it's actually about is learning to acknowledge the fact, the elephant in the room, is that you shouldn't have a backlog of games you're hoping to get through. Because chances are, if it's on your backlog and you don't find time to just organically enjoy the experience of playing, it just shouldn't even be on your list at all. Imagine if we just spent our time playing games and doing things which we truly valued, things which really captured our imagination, things that really spoke to us and made us think, wow, isn't that incredible? If we did that, we wouldn't really have a backlog to work through because we would just spend our time doing things that we truly enjoyed doing. It's just like every single day, I get up and I go for a walk. It's just something I do. I can't imagine getting up and not going outside at least some every single day. It's just what I do. And it's meaningful to me. I don't ever have to say, did I go for a walk today? I just do it. It's second nature. There's never a day when I don't make my coffee. Always make coffee. Doesn't matter if I'm busy or if I'm not, if it's a work day or if it's not a work day. I always get up in the morning, make my cup of coffee. I always take a shower in the morning. I can't imagine getting up in the morning and saying, oh, well, maybe I won't take a shower today. I won't bathe myself. I'm not going to comb my hair. It's not something I have to make myself do because it's something I want to do. I feel clean after I take a shower. I've got to go do it. I want to do it. I feel energized when I take that first sip of coffee in the morning, even if some part of me isn't feeling the day, That's what it's all about. And that's really what gaming is supposed to be about too. It's about having that sense of really loving what you're doing, really being incredibly enthusiastic and impressed with the opportunity to have an experience. So what if I said the best way to handle your gaming backlog is just to get rid of it? Don't have a backlog. Because if it's not something that you want to do right now, if it's not something that you enjoy, don't have that passive feeling in the back of your mind, I guess I should have this list of things that I need to get to one day. And then every day you don't get to them, you have that nagging feeling that you're not getting to things that you need to do. I saw this YouTube video with a thumbnail, 10 games to play before you die. And I thought, isn't that exactly how we look at it? We have this feeling that these are once in a lifetime experiences. You have to do that before you die. And then we go through life in game, beyond the game, with this feeling there's a big long list of things we need to do before we die. And by golly, I don't know that we're ever going to have time to do all those things. I wish we did. But I don't have time to do all of the things that I need to do before I die. So I guess I'll just have decision paralysis and stare at the Steam Workshop page trying to figure out what game I'm going to play today, because every single one of them is a few hundred hours long, and I don't have time to do all of them. So I'm just going to do none of them and be burned out. And then the few experiences I could have that I really would enjoy, I'm not going to do those. Because that too would be a waste of time, because then I'm not going to be doing the backlog. I'm not going to, what is playing that one game doing to help me get through the backlog? Well, the thing is, the games I really love, they're not the kind of games that you get to put on a backlog, That's the really fascinating thing here, because I like Anno 1800. I like the Anno games in general. I'm excited that Anno 117 is going to be coming out at the end of the year. I'll definitely be playing the heck out of that. And I like playing games like American Truck Simulator. I like playing occasionally some Flight Simulator. I like these games where you just play them. And you want to keep playing them, but the reality is you're not any closer when you finish a play session to being done than you were when you started, because it's not about finishing. It's an experience you could play over and over again, endlessly, for years and years, because it's open-ended. That's the thing about it. You finish a city, you can always build another city. You drive down the road in a game like American Truck Simulator, you can always drive down the road one more time. Load up Flight Simulator, there's always another place to go fly over to see some aerial view that you've never seen before. And that's what's amazing about them, because they're endless. You don't have to worry about the backlog, because if you only played them for 15 more minutes in your life, that would be okay. Or maybe you play them for 1,500 hours more, I don't know. But see, it doesn't matter, because whether you play them a little more or a lot more, as long as you had fun, you had a complete experience. But there's a lot of games that are all pegged to some kind of achievements. You've got to finish the main story quest. You've got to get through the content. And if you don't get through all the content, then you haven't done your job. You haven't finished. You haven't done what you're supposed to do. And maybe you don't even enjoy the content. Maybe you didn't want to play the game even, but everyone says, you got to get through a playthrough of Skyrim, I posted something on Reddit about not liking Skyrim as much as Elder Scrolls Online, and it got downvoted to 0. You know? Because you just can't say that, right? Like, you can't say that you like Elder Scrolls Online better than Skyrim, you know? You can't say that you don't really care about The Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, that's like sacrilege. And they are good games. It's just, you know what? The honest truth is, I don't really care. The honest truth is, I don't need to play them in order to have a fun, meaningful, good gaming career. Because the things that you really love, you don't have to remind yourself that you love them. You don't have to remind yourself that you're supposed to be making time for them. You just do. Imagine being in a committed relationship and you have to remind yourself that you love your spouse. You have to remind yourself to show them that you care. Well, you know, the tough truth is, if you're in that position, you're probably not really with the right person. Because when you really love something, it's organic. You don't have to remind yourself to think about it. You don't have to remind yourself to do it. You just do it. And then minutes turn into hours, and you're like, wow, that was so fun. I want to do it another hour, you know? There's a few games that are like that, and all of them, they have no goals. They have no deadlines. They have no FOMO. They're just games I enjoy. And I'm going to probably enjoy them for as long as they continue to exist and I continue to have time to play them. And as for all the other hundreds of games that have got my attention, I guess the truth of the matter is, it's okay if I don't play them. So yeah, sometimes the best way to clear your backlog isn't to play every game in the book. It's to stop feeling like you need to. When we loved games as kids, it wasn't because games were better. It wasn't because we had more imagination. It was simply because at that particular time, we put a lot of effort into a few titles that we really loved. We didn't have an infinite amount of choice, and so we just loved what we had. And it was an experience. And you know, the truth of the matter is, back then, I didn't even finish most of the games I played. Even when I had lots of time and I was a kid playing the heck out of a game, I probably didn't finish it. Because I'd probably get to a point where I was stuck and I didn't have access to YouTube walkthroughs or anything like that. So I'd wind up just kind of losing interest a little bit because I didn't even really know how to progress. And there wasn't a walkthrough. And yet those games continued to live on as beloved titles forever in my memory. And that's the crazy thing. It's not about finishing things. Maybe you just played Skyrim enough to make a character and run around for a little while. And you saw a Whiterun and you bought a house there, and it's not really about finishing the main story quest. It never was. You don't need to. Just get it out of your head that you have a backlog. And then pick a few things that you enjoy and do it. Pick a few people who you really enjoy their company and spend time with them. Talk to them. Include them in your life. If you just played 6 games that you love for the rest of your gaming career and you picked 6 top people who you love and you spent the rest of your life keeping them in your life, that would probably be right there. That'd be a win. Warren Buffett said you should figure out your top 25 things that matter the most to you. Objectives, stocks, whatever it might be. Then get rid of the bottom 20 of those and just focus on 5. He said if you had a punch card and you just could only make, say, like 20 major decisions in your life, and every time you made like a major stock purchase decision or major life choice or something, you'd have to punch the card. You only get 20 punches. He said chances are you'd think long and hard about what you do. You wouldn't even fill up the 20. You wouldn't use up the 20 punches because you would just do a few things that you love. It's really, really just that simple. But we make it complicated when we start to think that we're supposed to love this stuff, you know? You're supposed to want to finish what you start. You're supposed to want to play all the new games that come out. What if I don't care about the new games that come out? What if I don't need to play Witcher 4 when it comes out, even if it has amazing graphics, because maybe 10-year-old graphics in Elder Scrolls Online suit me just fine. You know? When we start asking ourselves what we truly love and enjoy, then suddenly there's plenty of time and the backlog disappears. So don't worry so much about trying to get through all the content out there that you keep on telling yourself you need to get to. And instead start just deleting content, unsubscribing, getting it out of your head entirely that needs to be something you think about. I stopped watching the news. I stopped scrolling through Google News. I stopped watching political content on YouTube. I stopped watching things that are more negative, things that are more controversial, and I started filling my time instead with things that I more passively enjoy. And you know what? I start to realize I have more time. You know, I've thought about even leaving Reddit completely just because it can be a toxic platform too. But then I thought, you know, yeah, you get some value out of some of this stuff. So I'm not leaving Reddit. I'll go. I enjoy Reddit, but you know, I don't have to spend my whole day on there. I can go there and look at a few things and post a few things and call it a day and be done. You know, you start to live life on your terms and you realize, oh, wait, I guess I do have time for people and things and games and stuff I want to do. And I have time to write a book and I have time to do YouTube videos. I got time for all this stuff because I'm doing the things that matter to me, not the things that I've always been telling myself is some kind of headcanon that I'm supposed to care about it. But in reality, if I was honest, I know I just don't really care about it. I'm not interested in it. It's been a backlog item because I don't like it that much. You know, like take Assassin's Creed. You know what? I think Assassin's Creed is pretty cool. And you know what I don't think is cool at all? I don't think it's cool at all to think that I have to spend hundreds of hours to play all those Assassin's Creed games I never even played. I didn't play the first one. I didn't play the last one. I've played them a little bit. And somehow they all managed to get into my Steam library. I got every single one in there, waiting to be played, begging to be played. And you know what? I don't need to play them. I can watch some YouTube videos to understand the lore of Assassin's Creed. I can watch other people play them. I can admire the beautiful graphics of the vistas in Egypt and Greece and wherever Valhalla is. And I don't have to play those games end to end in order to appreciate them. That's truth. But, you know, we have it in our head, oh, well, you better, you know, you got to do all the content. If you don't do all the content, then you're, you know, you're missing out on something that everyone should do at least once in their lifetime. You know what? The truth is, maybe I will never see the rest of the world, but that doesn't mean that my life isn't going to be rich and meaningful. Because when you start to focus on things that truly matter to you, you start to understand you don't have to participate in and consume every single piece of content that comes your way. It's okay to miss out. And that right there is the key to peace. Because then once you let go of that desire to participate in everything, to have yourself weighing in on everything, then at that point, you can actually be mindful about the things that remain. And then you just have experiences that are cool, that are memorable, and it's not about doing everything. It's just about doing things that matter to you in this moment. And if you can do that, then the day is going to be a good day. Your life's going to be a good life. And there are going to be a huge number of things in your life that you're not going to do. And let me break it to you. The truth of the matter is, even if you were a real min-maxer, you sped run through every single game you could get your hands on, you know what? You still probably are going to die with a whole lot of books you haven't read and games you haven't played and movies you haven't seen, people you haven't met. It's not about doing all of it. It's about being touched by a little bit. So wherever you find yourself, always remember, peace, satisfaction, and joy in the moment is really what matters, not finishing a backlog of things to do. As always, good luck on your adventure. Till next time, thanks so much for watching.